Hi guys, today's videos and update news is on the recent update coming tomorrow. As of the recording of this video, we'll take a look at all of the different things in terms of the ops and the bundles, and also some of the extra earnable tanks and stuff like that you can get this week along with the on-track event. So, first things first, we have a tank commander. PvP is back, so you can earn an epic vehicle. Now, you can earn a premium World War II tank and some other things. Now, what tank is it within this reward and earn op? Well, it is the M4A3E8 Thunderbolt 7 medium tank. So this is the tier 6 United States tank. You've basically got pretty mediocre penetration, fairly average damage for the tier. It would cost you 3,450 gold if you wanted to purchase it on its own. Of course, usually they're discounted at 50% when they go on sale anyway, so you really wouldn't have too much of a problem with regards to picking this one up for fairly cheap anyway, so it's maybe not a must for you to be able to pick it up. Here are the statistics of the vehicle on screen right now. Obviously, you've got fairly poor aim time, I guess, for a fast-firing gun that it is, 3.6 second reload, so it's really fast firing. And so you can dish out your DPM fairly decently. 0.38 accuracy is definitely not something fantastic. It's fairly poor, to be honest, so you're going to be wanting to put vertical stabilizers or gun stabilizers on this vehicle in order to make it work better. You can go 42 kilometers an hour forward, so it's not particularly that fast either. And so I guess if you aren't particularly that fussed on picking up a free premium tank at tier 6 for the USA, then maybe you wouldn't want to do this challenge. However, for those of you who do want to pick up this tank for free, it's not particularly too difficult for you to be able to do. It does take a little bit of time, but it should be fairly easy for you to do. Now, first things first, how do you actually pick up this tank? Well, you have to play the commander mode. So basically, it's a separate mode within the game. You can access it through the menu when you press back to on the garage, so you'll be able to go to the Cold War, World War II mode, and then it will have commander mode, so you can pick that. In order to complete the first one, you just have to play a battle, then you have to win a battle, then you have 4 or more of your vehicles survive in a winning battle, and then you'll have to earn 2,000 XP or more in any number of battles. You can then earn 5,000 XP or more in any number of battles. And then you have to earn 10,000 XP, and then you've got detect 2 vehicles in any number of battles, and you actually have to play as a tanker, so not as the commander. Then you get destroy 1 or more vehicles in any number of battles. It'll give you 10,000 silver. Obviously, throughout this, you'll be getting boosts and stuff like that are maybe okay for you. And then, of course, you get deal 2,000 or more damage, you get medkit and enhanced medkit, and then for the final one, completing every single one of these operations previously will reward you with the M4A3E8 Thunderbolt 7. So, yeah, it's pretty decent, I guess, for something where it shouldn't take you too long. I mean, yes, it might take a little bit of time to complete maybe some of the ops, like the have 4 or more of your vehicles survive in a winning battle, but then again, you should be able to do that over time anyway. So there you go. That's the operation and the free tank that you can pick up this week as part of the update, which comes in tomorrow as of the 20th of July until the 27th. So you won't have too long to do it, so you've got a week. But then again, if you actually really want the tank, it shouldn't take you long at all. Then we have Are You Tough Enough for Boot Camp? Yes, so this is Heavy Tank Boot Camp. This program is designed to give you the rewards you deserve once you've made it through. Here's the brief. So basically, this is a heavy tank operation. I did a heavy tank guide yesterday, so if you want to have a look at how to set up heavy tanks, then you can do. It will be linked at the end of this video, along with the previous update news, where we cover some more information on this week's news that was previously done. So we won't go through all of the previous news within this one, but it's all still relevant for tomorrow. So Heavy Tank Boot Camp, what do you have to do? So first things first is deal 2,000 or more damage in any number of battles. So you can do this over the course of however many battles it takes. So that's good for those of you that play lower tier heavies maybe. It means that you don't have to play the higher tier ones to get these 3,000 damage, 4,000 damage in one game. It's available only to heavy tanks, of course, because it's a heavy tank boot camp. You'll get a enhanced rations and 10k silver, so basically the equivalent of 35,000 silver for doing that, so it's not particularly too difficult for those of you who play tier 10, maybe 2 games for those of you who play tier 6 or something like that. Now, number 2, destroy 5 or more vehicles in any number of battles. We'll give you the equivalent of 75,000 silver with 50k actual silver and 25k in a premium consumable. Obviously, heavy tanks only. And then the third one and final one, receive 5 or more non-penetrating shots in 10 surviving battles. So this is 10 battles you're going to have to play in heavy tanks, and you have to receive 5 or more non-penetrating shots. So that means you're going to have to bounce a couple of shots, or at least shots go into your tracks or something like that. Now, how much do you get for this? Well, you get 2 premium consumables worth 25k each, which is 50k, and then 100,000 silver and a emblem wreck-it, which is always good. All of these operations are available only once per account, and you'll be able to pick them up playing only heavy tanks and available to multiplayer only, so you cannot play co-op mode if you want to pick up these emblems and the free stuff within this as well. Now, final thing, or second to last, I should say, is actually the bundles this week. We're going to have a look and obviously overview you guys. Usually you know my opinions on the bundles, and usually they're not really worth it, but today's ones have a few actual decent and honourable mention ones that you might be able to pick up and have fun with. First things first, let's discount the shock trio because it's just awful. Yes, the Scourge is okay. The Capture King Tiger, yes, if you enjoy King Tigers or you enjoy the Tiger 2, then you might have fun, but not particularly an amazing tank, considering now you just get penned through the side of your tank, whether you're side scraping or not, by everything. And the turret is pretty weak. The gun isn't particularly amazing. Yes, you have DPM, but it can work. It can definitely be a decent heavy tank. And then finally, the Mauer Breaker, the VK16801P, which is awful. Not a tank that is particularly forgiving. You get penned a lot, but because your armor is supposed to be like a Mauer's, and of course, with Wargaming's most recent update, they said that they would be buffing the Mauers, so if this is just a worse version of a Mauers at tier 8, the armor really doesn't work, and especially considering you can go up against tier 10s that will just pen your upper plate in the Mauer Breaker. Yes, you can angle and you can sometimes bounce a shot, but for the most part, it doesn't work in terms of its armor layout, and so the whole basis of the tank being that it's a super heavy and it will be able to bounce shots. Yes, if you side scrape, but how many opportunities do you get to side scrape on maps like Prokhorovka, all of the open maps that we now have, Westfield, you know, you're looking at every single map within the game tends to be non-heavy tank, at least at the minute, because we're missing things like Ensk, Ruinberg, and all of the town maps within the game and the current map rotation, so yeah, heavy tanks are kind of in a bad place right now in terms of the current meta, so definitely not a place I would be going with my 16,000 gold, so don't really recommend that. Then we have Frontline Brawlers. This gives you another King Tiger. Then you get the HMH Chrysler K and the Vazilla KV4K. 2 of these are pretty mediocre. The Vazilla is pretty awful. It's not particularly very good. And then we've got the King Tiger, which is yet again, like we said, with the Captured King Tiger, fairly okay, but it's not particularly amazing. And then the Chrysler K, many of you will have got for free if you did the earn operation for it not too long ago, and so I guess that's the only tank that's actually worth it in the bundle, but even then it's not as good as PC, and you can get penned fairly easily through the front with people loading premium rounds, of course, being the main problem in World of Tanks console right now. Premium spam is just, you know, if you don't use it, then you're at a massive disadvantage against everyone else, so yeah. I think something needs to be done with the armor for at least heavy tanks, because their weak points just get sniped every single time. You don't miss with the current accuracy in the game. Yeah, 16,500, not worth it, in my opinion. But of course, make your own mind up as to whether or not you think that these bundles are actually decent or not. And yeah, I guess that you can make your own mind up. But maybe take advice of some of my things about the tanks that were mentioned. Then, supreme damage. I'm sorry, but you won't be doing a supreme amount of damage in the Carnarvon Action X. It is not a particularly overpowered tank. Yes, it can be used very, very well. It, of course, has an auto-loading version if you picked up the Eradicator Carnarvon Action X. So it's basically the Carnarvon Action X with a 3-shot autoloader, and in my opinion, probably the better tank out of them both. However, you can use this effectively. Turret armor kind of works, but then again, the top of your turret is fairly weak and you tend to get penned very easily through there. And of course, being a British tank, the hull armor absolutely sucks. And I mean, it absolutely sucks. Everything about the hull of this tank is just terrible. And you can get penned through the side, you can get penned through the front, you can get penned through the rear. And basically, you're not going to be having very much fun if you at all show any of this, and it is big and boxy as well, so it's not like you can hide it very easily in the Carnarvon Action X. So yeah, use your gun depression and you'll be better off in the Carnarvon Action X. Then of course, Stockade Object 703 Auto. This is a fairly strange tank, I guess. It's kind of like an IS-3 with an autoloader, except yeah, it does get the autoloader, 3-shot autoloader, 390 alpha damage per shot, and awful, and I mean awful DPM, 4.74 rounds a minute with 390 alpha, makes this tank very, very poor when it's on a reload. Yes, you can get your damage out fairly quickly, but then even your intra-clip reload is fairly long as well. So you can't get out that damage too quickly, and with the 0.46 accuracy and the 3.2 second aim time mean that, yes, this tank can be used well, but for the most part, I don't think that it's particularly that strong within the game. Yes, you can have good games in it. I'm not saying that this tank is terrible. I'm just saying, although it feels very broken on the other end of the spectrum when you're getting clipped by 3 shots of 390 damage, doesn't necessarily mean that this tank is particularly that broken in the grand scheme of things in the whole time that it's active within the match. Yes, you do get 150% silver, so you don't even get that much silver over any other premium tanks in this tank. So, next one, T-54E2, fantastic heavy tank at tier 8, American one. It's basically, the T-77, the other heavy tank for the American line with the autoloader. This one gets the choice of 2 guns. You can either pick an autoloading version, which has a 3-shot autoloader, 360 alpha damage, giving you a whopping 1080 alpha damage clip, or you can pick a 105mm single shot, which has 5 rate of fire rounds a minute, which isn't too bad. It gets better accuracy and also better aim time compared to the autoloading version. You get 10 degrees of gun depression. Its turret actually works within the game, except from the cupola, which can be penned fairly easily if people aim at it, which is the weak point. And of course, the big lower plate is another area of the tank that gets penned fairly easily. Is it worth it as part of the bundle for 13,500? Well, probably, if you enjoy all of the look of these tanks, as opposed to just that tank, because you could probably pick it up on a 50% sale at some point during the next couple of months, because it does go on sale every now and again, and certainly would be a good one. Now, the final bundle. Of course, Wargaming have to bring out the overpowered tanks. Maybe when sales are down, maybe not. The Dreadnought KV2 always comes on sale. Whack it with another broken Tiger 131 tank at tier 7. And yeah, you've got a surefire way to sell 8,150 gold every single time. For those of you who don't own either of them, then to be honest, I would recommend picking them up. I don't have the Tiger 131, but I've played it a few times on a few different accounts of mine, and certainly played quite a lot in the Dreadnought KV2. It's just basically one of the best tier 7 heavy tanks / tank destroyers / medium tank / tank at tier 7, if not probably the best, if you use it correctly and make sure that you don't just go in YOLOing in, and remind yourself that you do have 700 alpha damage, 252mm of penetration at tier 7, meaning you can pen every single tier 9 you come up against with the heat ammo, which I would 100% use every single time. Don't use the standard ammo, because why would you want to bounce, considering you do 700 alpha damage and you're going to be getting the money back from firing the premium ammunition, whereas if you miss, you'll be wasting credits because you'll bounce. So 100% worth firing premium in the Dreadnought. I know people say, oh, it's premium spam, but the Dreadnought, you either have 5k damage or you get removed from the game. decide what you want to do. Of course, firing premium ammunition in a tank like this is going to reward you significantly more than, say, if you fired premium in a medium tank where you don't get that much of an advantage, and the shells aren't even that expensive. Plus, remember, it's a premium tank and you're going to be making your money back because you have 130% silver earn compared to the other tanks at its tier. So yeah, the Dreadnought KV-2, probably the most broken tier 7 within the game, and for 8,000 gold for both of them, then yeah, you might want to pick up this bundle if you want to just rock around the battlefield, just being completely balanced and in total just an absolute nightmare to play against. And the final news article that we have to take a look at today is the on-track event to the K91. Of course, if you haven't picked up the K91 yet, you probably don't mind anyway because it's pretty awful in the current state of affairs within World of Tanks console, especially since Update 6.0. This thing is just absolutely awful. I made a bit of a boo-boo in one of my previous update news videos thinking that this thing was actually the most highest DPM medium tank at the Russian line, or at least one of the top 3. I knew that the T62A got a massive buff to its reload, and so it became one of the best DPM tanks at tier 10 mediums. This one, however, I thought, considering its armor layout, its actual mobility, everything about the tank was so bad, I thought, you know what, the DPM is going to be good. And so when they said that they're going to reduce the reload even further, I thought that this thing would then be pumping out DPM all over the place to the point where it would be quite nice to play. However, this is not the case. The armor is terrible, the gun is terrible, the tank is terrible, and to be honest, it's still going to be one of the worst tanks at tier 10 in terms of the game. Definitely one that I guess is a little underrated, and certainly is one of the tanks that you don't see all of the time. But there's a reason why you don't see it all of the time, and it's because it's not really that competitive. Why play this when you can play an Object 430U, a T62A if you want the DPM, an Object 140, even tanks like the Object 277, the Russian heavy tank is probably a better tank than this one, and that's a heavy tank. And so yeah, I don't particularly think the K91, even with the reload buff, whereby they're reducing it by a whole second, is going to make too much of a difference for you guys who want to grind out this tank. 430-2 is a good one, however, so maybe if you just want a nice tier 9, and certainly the Object 430 version 2 is a nice tier 9, then this tank may be perfect for you. So, of course, remember, Object 430 version 2, if you want that, then there is an on-track event. What comes with the on-track event is, of course, a 25 bonus XP, percent bonus XP, and silver discounts to get 8 hard-hitting Soviet vehicles. That's Wargaming's description of it. Basically, what you get with this is a 50% discount between tiers 3 and tiers 6, so you get 50% off buying the tank with silver. So it's not, you don't have to purchase any of these with gold, it's just silver, and then a 30% discount between tiers 7 and 10. So instead of costing you 6 million for the tier 10, it's now going to cost you about 4.2 or somewhere around there. I think if I remember that correctly, it's roughly about 4.2 million instead of the full 6 point something million that tier 10 tanks are. So it's a good kind of way of getting these tanks, I guess, at the current pace, but then again, you do have to play some absolute stinkers along this line. So yeah, if you're interested in getting a fairly underpowered medium tank at tier 10, then the K91 on-track event might be for you, but then again, I would probably avoid it. I'd probably take the other route in terms of the 430U if you want a decent and competitive medium tank from the Soviet line. Now, one last thing, just to remind you guys, of course, the Italian heavy tanks are coming in this week. So tomorrow, Italian heavy tanks will be in the game as of when you play it at 10 o'clock UTC. So of course there's an hour delay between when you can have your last game after a server restart and when you can play again, whilst they do maintenance and stuff like that every week. Of course, that's between 10 and 11, I think it is. Then at 11 o'clock, you'll be able to jump in, you'll be able to play the Italian heavy tanks, and if you haven't checked them out already, there is a video on my channel from the last update news, which I'll link at the end of this one, or currently on screen right now, that you can have a look at at whether or not you think the Italian heavies are for you. Of course, the Bisonte came in, and it was pretty lackluster, to be honest. I've played it a couple games, yes, it can do well, but for the most part, you're probably not going to be doing super high amounts of damage because the DPM just sucks on a tank like that. Other than that, that is today's video and update news. Thank you very much for watching, and of course, thank you very much to all of the channel members for supporting the channel that little bit extra. Really do appreciate everyone's support, and we're coming up to like 5,500 subscribers now. We're getting there. Very, very happy with how the channel's going and how you guys are enjoying the content. Of course, leave your comments in the comment section down below as to what you would like to see in next week's update news and what you want to see from the next update in World of Tanks console. And then, of course, we can get a bit of a discussion going. And I hope that I will see you in the next video for some more World of Tanks console content. Goodbye.